Hello, everybody. Sorry I've been off of YouTube for a while. As you can see, this is not a video game. Weird. Yeah, I got Photoshop up. I'm gonna go through and do like some easy trees. I mean, everybody when they're drawing, I guess it's a bigger problem than I thought. I'm in an art group on Facebook and people are trying to figure out how to draw trees. I'm like, they're kind of easy. And they're like, no, they're not. They're hard. No, they're easy. And it depends on what you're going for. If you're going for like a cartoony tree, it's just a little curve here and a little curve here and a little curly, 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 curly. And boom, a little curly, curly inside for a little shadow or whatever. However you want to make your tree. But the way I do trees is it's really simple and it's something I do to relax. If I have something on my mind I'm trying to think through, or if I've had a hard day and I just want to sit down and relax and unwind, I just kind of draw a tree. But I simplify the process a whole lot. Um, as you can tell, my thumbnail looks like a whole bunch of this shape. It's a whole bunch of little Y's. And I'll show you how to do that. It's not too hard. First I want to start with this kind of where I want my center, like here. And I'm real loose with my pen. I'm drawing on an X Pen 12 Pro. It's like $200. I got it on sale on Amazon for like 100 and a quarter, so I bought it. Which means I can't really afford to buy anything else this year, which is no big deal. But anyway, you got a Y right here. Starts your two branches. All trees, when they come up, they have like this branch thing they come off to. They have one big one coming up and one coming off the side, um, and all that good stuff. And I should actually put that on a new layer. Oh, I have my eraser set to something else because I was working on something else. Put it on eraser tool. So anyway, but you can use the same if you're drawing traditionally. Usually I do this in my sketchbooks on paper, so doing them digitally is not any different, to be honest. But let me pop a new layer. Like I said, all trees do like this main trunk, then that trunk will split off, usually somewhere in the center. Um, Sometimes it'll come up like this, and then the tree will split like this, and this branch will grow and this one won't. So yeah, there's always, if you notice, there's this Y, and it's just something I noticed in trees. So go back to this layer. It's not hidden. Oh, it was because I didn't click on the right layer. Anyway, I start off like this, and then I just start making that into a Y. And I'll add like a V shape there, and then I'll come up and I'll make a little Y off of that, and I'll make a Y off there, then I'll make a Y off there, then I'll make a Y off there, and then I'll just keep adding these little Y's, man, just like everywhere. And they don't have to be perfectly connected because trees aren't perfect, which kind of makes them hard to do perspective drawings on. But that's also where they're fun. So yeah, a branch can come into a branch like this. I've seen these in actual trees. Matter of fact, on my thumbnail is actually a tree outside my door. So I just did it with these little Y shapes. Just kept adding these Y shapes until I got the shape of that tree. Now, alternatively, go layer above. You can do like your center line and then do like a circle or an ellipse of how you basically want the branches to go. And that way you can kind of stay inside, how you want your branches to branch out and get your little Y's in here. Like I said, they don't have to be perfect. This one's off a little bit, right? Or at least you think it's off. But it's going to make another Y. And then add some V's. And then need another Y here. The trick with the Y thing though is you want it to be like a Y. You want it to have a long side and a short side. So I'm gonna come back on this one. As you can tell, I'm always going kind of a long side and then a short side. And this makes kind of the skeleton for my tree here. I mean, a lot of people don't think about trees having skeletons, but you kind of, when you start forming them out like this, and if you ever seen art and, everybody does like, characters, they start on their heads and they have these little guidelines. This is kind of what this is. These are just guidelines that we're laying down, but they're fun little guidelines because they're little wise and you can't mess up. Like Bob Ross says, we don't make mistakes. We have happy little accidents, which gives our trees a little bit more character. And I grew up kind of watching Bob Ross. I've always had an interest in art, so and anything that looks a little bit off there, or you want a little bit more branches, just start branching off. Add little lines. So yeah. So we'll say this branch right here wants to be the tallest branch. And trees always have something like that. They always have like one branch that's a little different and it's a little weird. And then these branches are kind of jealous of that branch, so they start trying to come out. And I want to go ahead and fix that Y and fix that Y. We're going to go ahead and leave that line. And that kind of make a Y with an extra. So, and it makes it kind of like I said, it's an easy way of doing these. The branches don't have to be even. The Y's don't have to be even. They can go in any direction you want them to. They can come off anywhere. And sometimes I just go through with little V's and just connect V's too, which you can do. Like right here, just add a V, add a couple more V's. And it kind of gets the same point. So when I get rid of that one, just leave that like that. So now we got like this really kind of cool shape. And what we can do here is kind of go over top of that. Now, if I was drawing on my tablet or on my pad for traditional drawing, I would do this like really super light. I would have it colored like up here, up in, really light pencil. Oops. Where you can barely see it. Actually, that's, I'd do something like a 4H or something, or a 2H, and like sketch out where all my little Y's would go. So, get rid of that layer. So anyway, I want to take this layer, since I'm doing it digitally, I want to go ahead and just take its transparency down. Where I can barely see it. Do the layer over the top of that one. Bring my color down. Make it a little bit darker. And like I said, this is the center line. So I'd come out. And a little too dark. And come out and start my penciling, on this. And a trick here is this is not straight lines. A tree trunk is never straight. So if you want to try to add cylinders to them, it's fine. If you want to construct your trees, with kind of a mechanical type construction method, using cylinders like, every art teacher is going to teach you. Gotta do your cylinders, blah, blah, blah. What you want to do is start making these cylinders organic, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. You want to just kind of do your cylinder, and get back over and brush, and just kind of bulge out a little bit here and there, and kind of swerve it in. And trees don't follow their own bulges either, so keep that in mind. A tree can bulge in, out, and this kind of goes like this. But I could change this bulge on this side and make this bulge come up here, then come back in. And this is perfectly fine for the trunk of the tree, because trees do that. And then you just kind of fill that. So just, it's not paying attention to the details of the tree, it's paying attention to the tree itself. Um, like people, plants have veins in them, and veins will take the least resistant path, when they're carrying moisture. So plants have veins that carry moisture, so they're not perfectly straight. You can come out here, kind of run you some bumps in, and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. I can bump this one out even farther on the side if I want. Bring that down, and this is perfectly fine. This is like where a branch may have started to grow and the tree decided it wanted to be taller. And that's something trees do. They'll sometimes start a branch and decide that's not where they want that branch, and that branch doesn't grow. So we have this branch here. So this branch is obviously hanging low into the trunk. And I just kind of outline, go by this. And the tree obviously splits here. So I'd have this one coming up kind of thick. And this one branches over. And then this comes up like this. And just start kind of following this around. Just kind of adding a little bump there. And it's going to merge, split here. So I want to make a line that goes in that kind of shows that. These will be up underneath. So this little branch coming out from the back of it. Kind of like that. And I'm sorry there's no music in the background. I just don't really feel like, dealing with the DMCA strikes and all that. Even though I know Harris Keller has a set of music that you can use for YouTube and Twitch and all that. Still, the problem is I did DJ for 15 years, so I happen to know that in the future, should he ever sell stream beats, which he says he won't, but you never know what's going to happen. He could die and somebody else could take it over, whatever. They can come back on a DMCA strike on you. So it's just kind of better to play the safety. So unless the music's actually in a game, at that point the music's already been licensed once. And if YouTube or Twitch actually pops you for that kind of music, then you need to actually write them. Because the video game has already paid the licensing on the music. So yeah, you just kind of trace around and you can do this really loosely. I mean really, really loosely. Like I said, we had this branch coming off here. And obviously, we had something going on here, right? Well, this branch decided to Y out again. So we bring it up and Y it out. And like I said, just kind of loosely. And this can be a short branch, it doesn't matter. In fact, we're going to go ahead and just split this branch here while following our other branch. And we have this branch that comes in from the back, so we'll kind of trace a line this way. I mean, I'm not exactly following where my Y's are, but Y's give me something to play with. I can add, if I decide to add a little branch in there while I'm doing it. And the more you do these, you'll eventually just start rolling the tree up. And this is not really a perfect tree, to be honest. Oh, it's not perfect at all. So this branch decided to come up, and I went this way with my lines. So I'm going to bring it and make it curve. So I'm going to actually hard curve it right there. And I'm going to take my little eraser, which is something you can do, if you're doing it on paper. You have an eraser. And bring my eraser up and do these hard curves. Like I said, I'm doing this loose. I'm not worried about the excess lines right now. And again, if you're doing this on paper, do this kind of lightly. Let's see, we kind of got off there. Let there and erase this part. And that changes that up just a little bit, but it's fine. So this one, why is it on select? There you go. Gonna pull this one up. And we can see this branches off here, branches off here. And like I said, don't be worried about these points and doing that correctly right now. This is kind of to give you the outline of what you're going to do. And again, like I said, just generally when I'm drawing my pads, I use a 4H, and then for the skeleton, to do all the little eyes. And then I use a 2H, which is just a tad harder than a 4H, or softer than a 4H pencil, to go over top of that, which gives everything still a really light look, but it lets me differentiate between the pencils. Okay, then we have one branch that came off here. We'll curve that into there. That. We'll curve this little Y here. And I'm just going to bring that in like that. Now this one kind of came from the front here, so we'll just add that little line off. And just kind of take that in right there real quick. Now, that's not too terrible looking. But, again, I'm going to go up a layer. I'm going to set that opacity down as soon as my pen decides to grab it. I'm going to darken my pen. I'm going to get rid of this layer, or uncheck it, so I'm not seeing it. That way I'm not seeing all the little Y's and stuff. And like I said, if you did it with a 2B and then you went over, or a 4B, then you went over 2B, just take a kneaded eraser and kind of erase off all the guidelines you don't need anymore. After you get this shape, you don't need those anymore. So we went from there to there. And now we're going to kind of work on this tree. I'm going to get my thing down. I know you guys are grabbing hand tools and everybody's screaming, oh my god, no, he didn't grab the right hand tool. And, I'm just going to come in here and start working with the line. Pretty easy to shape this around, since I already knew where that was going. Bring it up. And I know I got a branch going to be running right there, so. At this point, that's when you kind of want to worry about your lines a little bit. However, I have scoliosis and my back sometimes shakes, so I just get to where, as long as I can make it look good, I'm happy with it. So I can't control my back spasms. So I want to come in here, do a few, like runner lines. Kind of not too worried about them. Like I said, if you mess up a little bit, don't worry about it. Just kind of trade off of it. And we know this branch is going to come in, and I want that nice and solid. Now, a trick when you're doing the line art on the trees versus doing like a line art on the character. On a character, you want your thicker lines to be for your most accentuated parts. You want your thinner lines to be for your most highlighted parts. On a tree, you want your thicker lines to be where your most mass is, and your thinner lines to be where less mass is. So I want thicker lines on the trunk. I want thicker lines on these bigger branches. So I want to go over them, make sure those lines are nice and thick. Maybe leave a little space between some of them, kind of give it some detail there. And come around, especially like here, that's going to be shadowed. We got this guy coming off right here. I want to go ahead and get him. I'm going to go ahead and pop another little bump in and bump this over. And I'm just going to, in the ink, I'm just going to add a little bit of thing here. Like that. Bring it in. Bring it in. I'm not even worried about the line because it gives a little character, a little detail. And add this one. As you can tell, that line I messed up on my penciling, I'm using for the line. It's like, you know what? That was kind of a nice little happy accident there. And then I kind of want to bring some shadow down right here because it's kind of close. So just some quick little lines right there. Works that out. Quick little line right there. And this shadow is going to be there unless the light is, because it's the branch is pointing down, unless the light is actually from underneath it going pointing upwards, that shadow from this branch is going to be there because that branch is hanging down in front of the tree. And then you kind of want to think of your light sources too. I don't have a light source going on here, but that's fine. Now I did this part like this, and I kind of brought up the ink drawing to here on purpose. Because from here, if I wanted to add leaves, which is why I made a new layer, if I wanted to leaf this out, and then just add in some leaf parts, I would go along and I would follow these triangles. I would follow all of this. But like hair, I kind of want to do leaf sections. So, and all I'm doing is making this little dilly bob right there. Because if you zoom way out, you're not going to notice an individual leaf. So I'm not going to want to do these leaves individual. I'm going to want to do them in sections. Big chunks like this. Just kind of little M's, you know, like maybe drawing a bird. And just put a bunch of little birds together, you know, where the leaves are going to come out at. And let it follow the tree around. This lets it follow the Y's. It gives your tree some characters. And I'm just doing this as a quick sketch around real quick. Because I'm going to want a little space in here, a little space for light here, a little space for light here. And that's why all the Y's are there. Is so I can put the little light spaces in. You know, the space between that you don't see. The spaces that are hard to draw because people don't think about how to draw them. See, I got a little light space right there. Where there's, and now, you know, it totally starts taking kind of more of a character to it. Even though I didn't finish that branch off, it's still going to have leaves. So we get these little birds around. Little birds around here. These are going to hang down a little bit lower because of gravity. And just go around. Just like that. And then just like this. Would add a couple of things here. A couple of things here, like bring this in here like this. A little light pattern going through there, a little light pattern going through there, a little light pattern going through there. And bada bing, bada boom, you've got a fairly decent looking tree. And I could totally ink that and kind of be happy with it. As you know, I got my tree. Oh. I love it when my pen does that. Wrong button. And I didn't even realize it. Like moron. So anyway, I've got my little tree here, and I can come in and just. This is the advantage of digital versus paper. Because I can come in and start putting this in like this. Kind of get that ink in, and if I didn't want to do that, I could literally put that in. Then again, just filling in my spots here where my little Y's were. I can get these out of the way real quick. Give the tree some weight. Add needs underneath here like that. Underneath there like that. And if you really wanted to give it some weight, you can kind of go like this and follow your branches around a little bit. Just do kind of like the bottom sides. Should have really warmed up my hand before I started drawing. Back starting to cramp a little bit, sorry. So yeah, just go through these bottom sides like this and turn that layer back off. And now we've got some kind of weight to our tree. So kind of go around and just retrace what you were doing. This makes really simple, really easy, really nice looking trees. For a nice, fantasy environment or whatever. Um, if you're going for realism, get references for trees because different trees have different types of barks. So you'll need to know how to add the barks in. Different trees have different types of leaf structures. And so you need to know how to add in those, the leaf structures, the veins in the leaves, and especially if you're going to do really up close and detailed parts of it. But as far as doing a tree that you're going to use in a background, like I can add like a little weight here. Like I said, this little line here, just a little happy accident. It doesn't need to be erased. It just gives the overall image a little bit of character. So yeah, it's not too difficult. I'm not speeding this drawing up. This is as fast as I draw. Actually, this is kind of my maximum speed, sorry. So if I'm a little slow and this video gets a little long, I do apologize. But this is how I can do a tree. These are really simple trees. They're really easy to do. There's kids and old folks and all kinds of folks. Matter of fact, everybody should be able to do these. I'm hoping I made the video to where it showed how to do this without being confusing. And like I said, this is just something that I do to relax. And boom, there's the tree. Let's zoom it out so you can see the whole thing. Now, you know, and as a background tree, this is fine. When I zoom it out, it kind of looks like the areas, you know, for the light to come through, or you know, fruits or something. But then you have this like little hand symbol there, and little head and whatever. You know, people are going to see things in trees. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But again, like I said, if I wanted to, I could bring this back up and just finish doing this drawing. Draw that out. Peel that off. And I want to come up here and go up a layer. I don't remember what I was using layer 5 for. Or layer 7. Obviously nothing, so 9 and 11 are the ones I want to worry about. If you're going to make like a pine tree though, pine trees kind of do like the Christmas tree thing, kinda are a triangle. They really are. So if you're going to do a pine tree, you know, do your center line, but I would suggest doing the triangle so you can kind of see. Then you can kind of get in here and do all the little Y's and Y it out. Because I mean, pine trees, they do have branches, they do Y off, but they do actually grow in a kind of a triangle formation. You know, and they're wider at the bottom than they are at the top. And so you go through there, and then when you do your needles, you just kind of do like little lines on the outside. And then, you know, if you want pine cones, just add the pine cones on. But yeah, you just kind of do lines, and like some fir trees have like this fan shape where they'll grow like that on one side and they'll come around. And people will say that doesn't happen. I can show you an actual picture of one that looks just like this. But your center line is going to be here. It's just this side is where they catch the most sunlight, and this side can be shaded. So like a fir tree will grow more on one side where the sunlight's at and not as much on the other, but the center line won't change. So let's go ahead and put this back on 9/11, and I'm going to go ahead and end the video with that. This will be super easy to get in here with some colors. You can add more shapes to it, but that is as simple as a tree gets. So thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, be good or be good at it.